Before we begin, thank you very much to Wave Rod for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. Thank you everyone who pitches in and supports there. It is the whole reason I am able to keep doing this daily and the whole reason I am able to continue a channel in the first place. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. And stay tuned. I've got some big things in plan for my Patreon that I really want to roll out as soon as I can. But I want to make sure it's worth your while when I do it. So keep an eye out. I should be having something soon. So, yeah, it's a little bit overdue compared to the pacing of the previous ones. Holidays kind of bogged me down a little bit. But we are finally going to wrap up the Earthspark episode reviews with 9 and 10. The final episodes of the, Season 1A, with Age of Evolution 1 and 2. This one is treated not as like a two-parter, but like a double-length episode. Most places that you stream this don't have these episodes separated. It's all one big 45-minute chunk. So that's how we're going to take it this time. And because of the way this one is particularly formatted, we are actually going to stick with, we're going to bounce around a lot more and bullet point things rather than try and like summarize the episode as I go. So hopefully this will be a little bit smoother. I have no idea if this will work, but we'll give it a shot. So what kicks off our tension for the episode, and Optimus and Megatron, continuing from the previous episode, do still have points of tension between them here. And in this regard, it is how the humans view the Transformers, both with how Ghost treats them, as well as how the public views them. In this case, Megatron is very upset that they have this public speaking thing they have to do. They're given a script that they have to follow. And Megatron, in general, as you would expect of Megatron, does not like being told what to do, especially by a human. He doesn't like how they're being viewed, essentially. I don't think Megatron understands that this is basically how we treat all of our speaking figures. It's not very uncommon for a human to get trotted off onto stage with a script they have to follow verbatim. Just do what you're say what you're told and shut up. So maybe he's taking this a little bit personally and not viewing it in quite the right light. But the other part of that is actually a little bit more valid. So we actually get a time establishment in this episode. So it's been 30 years since the Autobots crashed, according to Optimus. 30 years since they've been working with the humans. But for Megatron, it's been 15, which means that despite 15 years of cooperating and working alongside Optimus and the Autobots, Megatron still harbors some of these grudges. That's a long time. And I'm sure, like, post-war, it could not have been an easy shift for him in the first place. But even Prime in this episode is like, it's been 15 years, find a new grudge, which is a great line. And you know what? And to be fair, in Transformer lifespans, that's like a week, So maybe it's not so bad for him to still be harboring some miscontent, but it does seem at least genuine that Megatron wants the humans to view Transformers in a positive light, which is kind of intriguing. Everything about this Megatron still continues to intrigue me as a character, because it is such a different depiction for him, and I still love how they're willing to do new things and let him be in new situations. Speaking of, he's going to spend a good part of these two episodes as the hostage, as the victim, the damsel in distress Megatron. So it's a very different look for him. It's a very different look. And, seeing him in a place of vulnerability, especially at the hands of a human, is exceptionally interesting, I find. So, he does a little bit of learning and growing in this one. When that plot line ends off with him seeing the Malto family together, the now expanded Malto family, and seeing like the beginnings of where humans and Cybertronians can coexist. It's strange it took 15 years to find that point, but it at very least seems to take him aback enough for him to, maybe start to see things from Prime's point of view a little bit more. So, as usual, I don't know where they're going with this Megatron. This is not, it doesn't feel like a long con, but I'm also, the more I see this Megatron, the more I see him develop, the less I can actually see him, like, flipping the script and going full Decepticon again. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, I don't know, but I'm enjoying the ride for what it is. Let's talk our Seekers. So we get Nova Storm and Skywarp. Second time in a row that Skywarp in a cartoon has been depicted as a female character. I'm not really against this, frankly. See, in a franchise like Transformers, generally I'm against gender-flipping characters for no reason, like when the Marvel Comics do it. See, like when they made a female Thor, I don't think it empowered women because Thor was female. I think a female Thor was borrowing the success and notoriety of the male character's name, which doesn't really do much for females in comics. I'd rather them be built up and made a big a deal, and put them up with the big boys. So, in Transformers, it's a different story because, 99% of the original characters were male. So you have to do something to kind of edge things back into the right direction. So I don't mind them taking, liberties with characters in that regard. I don't mind female Skywarp, because let's be honest, Skywarp was just kind of like a side thug for Starscream in the original cartoon, and nothing was really done with Skywarp after that, fiction-wise, at least outside of like comic books or anything. There's great depictions of the original like IDW, but as far as animation goes, no, Skywarp's kind of a blank slate, so I don't really mind it at all. And then Nova Storm's just, kind of a minor seeker. It's an interesting choice, because you always see, it's always Skywarp and Thundercracker, but not in this case. Honestly, I would love if, like, Thundercracker was one of the Decepticons who's, like, all on board for this alliance. We see him come in one day for this episode, and, like, he's actually, like, how he is in the original comic book, or, like, how he is on his original profile, or how he is in IDW, where it's just, like, yeah, this is a Decepticon who was, like, glad to surrender and switch sides. So I would love to see him. Like, I feel like IDW Thundercracker is a perfect fit for this show and, like, the post-war situation, the good guy Megatron situation. There's some great things that can be done if they want to go that direction. But that's me, pie in the sky. With these two, it's interesting to see because they are subservient to Mandroid in this episode. They're after Prime's left arm, so Mandroid is still looking to upgrade the rest of his body. And it's an interesting look at how things are for the free Decepticons on Earth. Their view right now is like if they still want to be villainous, if they don't want to like turn over a new leaf, their options are you either work for Mandroid or you get captured by Ghost, one or the other. To the point where Nova Storm even asks at one point, it's like, is it too late to just be an Autobot? So like it's not like you can let Decepticons go on rampages, but at the same time, it kind of points out just how bad things are for them on Earth. They still want to be evil, and they still want to take the place over. So what else are you gonna do? Like you can't exactly let them roam around. But the two are fun. I mean, it's a fun look to get at how the Seeker situation is in this universe, how the Decepticon situation is in this universe. It's a quick little peek at that. And and they make threatening enough villains for the episode, I feel like. So I'm hoping to see more of them. I'm hoping to see more Seekers in general. We know Starscream is waiting in the wings, so to speak. I'm looking forward to this. I'm also looking forward to seeing more of Dot's connection to Megatron. She goes through incredible lengths to try and save Megatron in this episode, where she's just horribly in over her head against Mandroid and all of his Arachnomechs. But she's still trying, and she is giving her all to try and save Megatron. And it really makes me curious, what happened? Because we know she fought in the original war against the Decepticons. So what happened, in the 15 years of peace between... Like, what happened after Megatron switched side? What happened in those 15 years that made Dot so loyal to Megatron and, like, so friendly with him to the point where I'm not even sure she would do this for Optimus Prime, because she's just starting to build any kind of rapport with him at all. So it's an interesting choice. And it again highlights how much Megatron's changed, that a human is such good friends with him, but also just why? Why is she so anti-Optimus and pro-Megatron when she's not evil to any of my sensors? I haven't really, like, noticed her being evil. I'm curious. I'm curious where they're going with it, because it's a very different direction. They could do a lot of things with it. I'm really looking forward to seeing, like, the backstory between her and Megatron. We finally get some explanations as to what the Rock is. It's amazing that they took 9 episodes to think, maybe we should go back to that cave that birthed 2 brand new Transformers and find out what exactly is going on there. So what we have here is the Ember Stone, which is not something that they cooked up just for the show. This is something from Quintus Prime, and we first heard about it in the Covenant of Primus book. It was basically an artifact. It was a life-giving artifact, just like it is here. So it's a nice, like, obscure deep pull to utilize for this show to create the Terrans. I really enjoy it. And a lot of the ancient Cybertronian runes that you see on the walls, the one and that emblem that you see, all of that is Quintus Prime. So now the question is, how do the Autobots end up here where the Ember Shard just happens to be? Because now we have this one, it's that story, it's that problem again, right? Where, like, how did the humans end up on Earth where all these Cybertronian relics just happen to be? Well, in this case, they landed there because of the war, and it was 30 years before they actually came across a Cybertronian relic. So it is not the reason they were brought here, but the fact that they are both here at the same point. The fact that Ghost is set up for the Transformers in Witwicky, Pennsylvania, right in the same area as the Ember Shard, really makes me curious about Ghost. What is in their plot? Who is running Ghost, and what are they all about? And why did they pick Witwicky? It makes me wonder if they knew that the Ember Shard was in the area, and they were hoping Autobots being here would uncover it. That's what's going through my head right now. Like, of all places, of all things, why this? Why here? Why now? It's way, like, the writing in this series is too crisp and it's too smart to really have such a big coincidence play such a factor in the show. So I genuinely feel like there's going to be a reason for why Ghost set the Autobots up in the town of Witwicky, where the Ember Shard was close by. I really feel like there's going to be a reason for it, and we're probably not going to find out until Ghost becomes aware of the Terrans, which is inevitable. Obviously that's going to happen at some point. That's like a really good, like, season 1, like, 2-part ender. When we get the next 16 episodes of season 1. It's just another part. I keep saying I'm curious to see where it goes. But this is the one I think out of the whole episode has me, like, seriously thinking. So we have 3 new Terrans to add to our list. Hashtag Jawbreaker and Nightshade. I'm not sure how I feel about adding 3 more Terrans to the show so quickly. I mean, they were introduced at the end of episode 9, technically. So, it's cool to have more of these brand new Transformers, but I feel like we haven't even really given Twitch and Thrash long enough on their own to kind of explore what being a Terran means and how a Transformer born of Earth grows and adapts. I don't think we've had enough time with just them before we introduce more. I feel like they would be, like, fully established characters. Well, they are fully established characters, but, like, fully grown emotionally characters before we introduce younger siblings that they can then teach. It just I worry that this is going to bloat the cast too much, because I've really enjoyed how small the cast of the show really is. We've got, Optimus and Megatron and Bumblebee. We've got Alita 1, but she doesn't really show up every episode or anything. So really 3 main Transformers, 4 human members of the Malto family, and then Twitch and Thrash. But now we're adding 3 more to that mix on top of, whatever Transformers decide to rock up and become more permanent staples of the show. I don't mind the characters, aside from the name hashtag. That seems a little bit forced. And it really makes me wonder how much of their personality comes from the humans they connect to. So, I am cautious. I am cautious about these 3. We do have to talk about Nightshade a little bit, because when this character started using they, them, that set off a lot of people. All right. So let's just get this established here. I don't think there's anything wrong with treating people the way they want to be treated. All right? I ask you to call me TJOmega. That's clearly not my given birth name, It's true of any online personality, from Markiplier to Iron Mouse. You're calling them by what they choose to be called, and you have no problem with that. So what's the problem with letting someone say they, them, or requesting that you use they, them for them? I found that for me, it felt like the same people who were butthurt over Nightshade's pronouns are the same ones that always make the argument of why Transformers have gender in the first place. They're robots that don't reproduce. So why are they why are there females in the first place? They shouldn't have any gender. Well, sunshine, I got news for you. He is a gender. So like just in the original cartoon, every Transformer was a he. Even though the same rules applied in their mind. So when someone takes that stance of they don't like the gender-neutral pronouns, which you would think would be a perfect solution, but they also don't like that Transformers have gender in the first place, when you put 2 and 2 together, it's really not hard to figure out, what the part of that you don't like. No, what you want is all Transformers to be male. And I'm sorry, that argument does not impress me. Nope, not buying it, not going for it. There's literally nothing wrong with Nightshade and their depiction. If anything, you should be happy that there is a Transformer that isn't gendered. I thought that's what a lot of people wanted. I'm fine with it. Doesn't bother me in the least, and shouldn't bother anyone out there. It doesn't hurt you or your life in any way, shape, or form. It's just a choice. Moving on. Mandroid pulled a big ace out of his sleeve in this episode, and I'm not sure how he tops it. So he's pretty much accepted the fact that he's actually going all the way with this. He's going to let himself go full automaton in order to combat the Transformers. It's interesting to me that he's willing to work with Decepticons, even though, yes, he's mind controlling them or manipulating them, in order to gain his goals, which are to destroy Transformers. He's xenophobic. He hates all of them equally. Autobot and Decepticon doesn't matter. In his head, it's all Decepticon for whatever reason or another. I would love to find out motivations for him. I would love to find out exactly why he turned out the way he did. If it's related to the fact why he had an arm that needed to be replaced, no clue. But yeah, I'm really curious. Again, I keep saying it. I'm curious. This show has me curious, which is a good thing. But he really did shine as a threatening villain. Human villains in Transformers shows always feel like they come off pretty weak. By comparison, in Transformers Animated, a human villain was a 1 Autobot situation, whereas 1 Decepticon was a 5 Autobot situation. So to see that kind of twisted to the point where 1 human can pose a threat to a horde of Autobots and Megatron is interesting. And then, like, he pulls out the biggest ace he's got, which is to turn his entire factory into Howl's moving castle. Is essentially like this played out like if you remember Shadow of the Colossus, like it's played out like one of those fights where everyone was scrambling around this giant mech to nail all these different weak points one by one to take out all of his cameras and then his main weapon. It was a super cool fight sequence. It was a really cool, really epic, really big. It was absolutely awesome. I also realized how long I'm going on this. Turns out when you talk a two-parter that ends off that mid-season, there's a lot to discuss here, and a lot to theorize. But I'm not sure where he goes up from here. Obviously, he's going to become more Transformer in nature himself, but, like, where do you go from, like, walking factory robot? I'm not sure how many of these hidden bases he has, or how he's funding all of this mechanical monstrosity. You know, you're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of work there. Not sure where he came up with that, but, yeah. I'm not sure where he goes from here as far as being a threatening villain, outside of just going full Transformer himself. The star of the main fight really is Twitch. She makes the last heroic charge to disable the weapon and make it vulnerable to be finally destroyed. And it's a super cool moment for her. It's kind of like a growing up and maturing moment where she gets to be the hero and make that call. Because before this, it was an injured Megatron that might have had to make the run, you know, which may not have worked. But this was a really epic moment for Twitch. I'm really happy she got to shine here. It still makes me wonder what to do with Thrash, because guess what? We have 3 new Terrans to develop now, and I still feel like Thrash has not come out of his shell or really, like, shined the way Twitch has. I mean, right now it feels like the writers had their favorite child, and it's the drone. I'm hoping Thrash gets a little bit more in the next 16 episodes, but I was really happy with what Twitch did here. It's great to see her have a big heroic moment against, like, huge odds for her to face. So good on her. The action sequences in these episodes, by the way, were phenomenal. Like, there's a chase sequence in the first episode, and it fantastic just in motion, in choreography, cinematography, however you want to phrase it. I mean, it's similar to the kind of this perspective of a chase sequence was done in the Bumblebee movie too, and I liked it there, but this was done better. The fight felt way more intense. The danger felt more real. It was a much more tense moment. Really, really well done. Like all the fight sequences in this two-parter were really well done. Lots of great motion, lots of great action. Like, they've really excelled. Like, from the first episode with Elita 1's fight scene with Swindle and Hardtop to this point, they've done fantastic with the fights. I mean, the action has been great. For what was originally described as a series with comedy mixed in, it's got some of the best fights we've seen in Transformers. Like, not even exaggerating. The show itself is just incredibly well balanced in that regard. And the end note, I think, is a really positive one. So the Malto family themselves did fantastic in this episode too. We got a few more hints that Alex and Mandroid are connected. They have a shared past. We did see how brave the kids have gotten here. It's still a little suspect to bring kids into a fight scene, admittedly, but they actually did hold their own, which is actually surprising. We're kind of back to that 80s idea of, well, yes, we can bring the kids along into a war zone, and we can just kind of get away with it. But it worked out. You know, they actually did play an important part in the fight. So credit to them. And yeah, credit to everything in these 2 episodes. It's a fantastic way of ending off the first half of the season. And great cliffhangers all around. We've got 3 new Terrans to raise and get alt modes for. We got a Megatron who's starting to see the alliance, like the camaraderie with humanity beginning and where it can and what it can be. We have Mandroid who's off to do something completely different now that he is afloat. And basically he can start over. And then we have all the lingering stuff that they've been hinting at throughout the season. We got a little more hints that Bumblebee's supposed to be dead, but we're seeing him here, and we still have to hide him from Ghost. So that is still there. And then, yes, we have that lingering question I put into your heads. Why is Ghost headquartered here, right where the Ember Shard is? Keep in mind, the shard is now unobtainable. It's out. It's buried. So now we have, we have no more way of adding Terrans unless we find another shard, because we know there's more than one of these Cybertronian water pits. Lots of mystery to unfold. This show, as I have said in all these reviews, has been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to a lot more. So that's my rundown of the Season 1, Part 1 finale. Really, really strong, and I'm really looking forward to even more from this show. So thank you guys for watching, and I will be right there with you, waiting impatiently for Episode 11 to get an announced date. I will see you then. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.